What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Two Dads in Tech. Today, we got a really good episode. We have somebody that I think deserves a bigger introduction than just your typical introduction. So let me get into the mode here. So, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the startup trenches, he has battled through 9 surgeries, 4 years in the hospital, and came out swinging harder than ever. Standing 6'2", I have no idea how tall you are. The man who turned pain. Are you 6'2"?
Literally 6'2".
Hey, whoa, we did it. All right, that was a guess. The man who turned pain into process and scars into sales playbooks has scaled 6 startups from $0 to $25 million in revenue. He's the founder of Scott Leese Consulting, the co-creator of the infamous Thursday Night Sales, RIP, and the mastermind behind Surf and Sales, and a 3-time best-selling author. The man, the myth, the legend. Give it up for the one and only Scott Leese. What's going on, Scott?
Man, what an intro. That might be my favorite intro of all time. That might be my favorite intro of all time.
My favorite intro. Mine.
Was it accurate?
Of all time.
Yeah. I mean,
he's like, actually,
I was going to give you credit
5'3".
for doing some deep research to figure out that I am 6'2", actually.
That's right.
But
I actually,
that was a
guess.
that it was a guess. It's actually more impressive.
I was like, he's probably taller than me. And Daniel is actually surprisingly, 6'4"?
Yeah, 6'5" if I'm wearing shoes. It depends. If I'm wearing my Brooks Max, I'm 6'6". Those things are massive. But anyways, yeah. Yeah, 6'2" could be an offensive thing. You know, if someone's like not quite 6 foot, they're like, oh, a little twinkle down their eye.
I'm 5'11" and a half.
Oh, you're the guy.
I know.
Oh,
yeah, I'm the guy.
Don't Troy, you can't.
The ID says 6
5'11"
foot,
and a half.
of course, but I know.
Only people under 6 foot use half inches to describe their height.
That's so true, actually. That's so true.
You will never see somebody say I'm 6'3" and a half ever.
Yeah,
ever.
No.
Oh,
we
man.
have nothing left to prove at that point.
I know. You don't. Well, we got some tall people in here. I'm above average in height, so that's kind of cool. I'm fine.
Whatever, I'm just leaving
5'11". Anywho, Scott, so great to have you. Real quickly, what in the world does a fractional CRO do?
Yeah, you work on a bunch of different things. It could be kind of retooling a startup's messaging, for example. It could be a sales pitch, cold call script, inbound script, how they demo, copywriting that they use for emails or social selling. It could be other outbound campaigns you're working with them on, like event strategies, referral strategies, in-person selling, direct mail. It includes a lot of revenue operations stuff, process optimization, installation of HubSpot or Salesforce, things like that, or different tools like Gong or something like that, or Outreach, SalesLoft back in the day. You help with recruiting, you help with coaching and training. And it's just kind of everything under the sun, man. It's a bridge between somebody who can't maybe afford a full-time VP of sales or CRO, and somebody who doesn't really want to or know how to do a bunch of these things themselves to put the right sort of mechanisms in place to build a high growth sales machine.
I'd love to hear how you bridge what you're doing day to day with I'll call it persona you give off on LinkedIn. It's something I'm quite fond of. I don't know if you've ever seen anything I do on LinkedIn. I'm an idiot. I'm like a professional idiot. Like just a moron, just a full blown, you question how I even got where I am. But so you're not that way, but I'm inspired by the gut wrenching, just this is how it is. This is how it's been. This is what sales is like. This is what I've seen work. And like, you peel back the layers, you're very professional. Of course, you are helping businesses grow. You have grown your own businesses as this fractional, employee / contractor. Like, what's the connection? Because some of the stuff you're writing about and the personality you have is kind of out there, right? I mean, it's for LinkedIn. I mean, right? We're if you go to Twitter, it's just how everyone is. But tell me about what you think about how do you come up with some of these pieces of content?
Well, listen, I've either lived it and been through it or are going through it right now, or some of them come from stories that people tell me. I don't even know how many kind of DMs I get per day where somebody's asking for help on such and such topic, or wants to talk to me for a few minutes about their situation, or is just complaining about something that they're going through and needs some advice. So there's no shortage of inspiration at any given time. And, when I committed to kind of growing my network and figuring out this personal brand kind of thing, I never wanted to be somebody that I wasn't. I never tried to talk about things that I don't know anything about. I never tried to pretend to be some corporate cog in the machine. I've never been that guy. So I am who I am. And people who have met me in person and spent any time with me, sometimes they're a little surprised by that. And they're like, wow, you're kind of the same person. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what you expected me to be. I guess everybody thought it's like some shtick or something like that. But no, man, I just say what I say. I don't care that much about the powers that be and what they might think of me. I'm not for everybody, and that's totally fine. It's just a way to, kind of early disqualify people, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
And, be left with people who are kind of part of my tribe, so to speak. And, the feedback that I get more than any about people who review my content on LinkedIn is that they kind of thank me for being authentic and saying stuff that other people won't say.
Yeah.
And, kind of a breath of fresh air stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to boast about myself, but that's what I get the most from other people.
Yeah.
And that feels pretty good, to be honest with you.
One thing you said was, I am who I am. And there was a post that stuck out to me. I think it was early this year. And I don't even know the post because I remember I read it. I don't know exactly what it said, but it was something along the lines of, in 2024, and to backtrack a little bit, Scott has over like 120,000 followers on LinkedIn. And if you're in the LinkedIn world, then you know that you can make a good amount of money on LinkedIn. If you're not in the LinkedIn world, now you know that you can make a good amount of money on LinkedIn. And so you made a post about how you spent 2024. I can't remember what it said verbatim, but something along the lines of like shouting out products to get the bag. And like, you're not going to do that anymore. And I've seen a lot of, just being in the creator space, I've seen a lot of creators also do the same thing. And then it damages their reputation. Did you?
Oh man, hey, stop firing shots over here.
No.
My family's got to eat. My family's got to eat.
Oh
No,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
Daniel's one of them. No. I don't blame people. I don't, like, you spend years building up this audience.
You can't
and
walk
it's
it
like,
back. Damage is already
you can
done.
you can go make like 10K plus just from 30 seconds of work. Like, I know that, right? And so did that damage the reputation at all? Or like, what made you decide, you know what, no more of this BS. I'm just going to be real me. I'm not, and not saying that you weren't real you, but I mean, you got, you wanted to get paid.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to.
That was, some of those posts were probably the closest that I've been to flirting with not being true to myself, to be honest with you. I was making pretty good money in 2024. I'm talking thousands of dollars for one single post regularly.
Yeah.
And, to your point, if you get to a certain level and you're getting thousands of dollars per post, it's not hard to make $10,000 a month just for shouting out somebody else's product and their company and things like that. And if you know and like the founder, or and like the product, then it's even easier to, kind of endorse it. But for me, I just started to feel kind of icky. I just started to feel like I'm just shouting things out just for the hell of it, just taking the money, don't really care or know this person, don't really care or want to use this particular product.
Yeah.
Right. And that started to kind of affect me a little bit. And I started to have one or two people message me and say, do you really use that product? This post doesn't sound like you. It doesn't feel like you. And I just thought, I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need that money. Not all dollars are good dollars. And so coming into 2025, I just decided, you know what? I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to do it this year, the whole year. And, let's see how that feels. Am I done with it forever? I don't know. But I haven't done any of those paid sponsored posts this whole year. And I don't regret it, even though I've lost, some significant income probably from it, but that's okay. I'm doing okay in a lot of other areas. And so it was a more proactive protection before I kind of lost myself potentially and maybe caused some reputational harm. So I think I cut it off before it got too damaging. For me.
Yeah.
Not for other people, I suppose, but for me, that's what it felt.
Yeah. I've been in that same boat where it's like, oh, you want to offer a couple $1,000 just to spend 30 seconds writing a post. And I've done it a couple times here and there. Nowadays, I just tell people, hey, like, I'm trying to figure out what makes my job more efficient. I don't give a shit about the money you give me, but if you just offer me the product and I use it and I like it, I will post about it often because I use it often. So a good example is I just did a 30-day cold call challenge. Every single day at the end of the day, I would post my results and the tech stack I use and how it's helped me. And they don't pay me at all. I probably could have made a lot of money, but at the end of the day, like, it makes my job more efficient. I'm making more money by using them, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, I've seen some people that, are still posting all the time. And that's just, I get it. I get it. Money is very helpful.
Yeah.
It takes you out of some stressful situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't know if I'll be done with it forever, but I'm definitely done with it this year
Just
for
this
now.
year. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just told, I'm getting paid to post periodically, but I told one of the partners I work with, I'm like, hey, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Because I'm at that cusp right now in my own journey of like, yeah, this feels like I don't need to even do it anymore. And it feels kind of fake. Particularly when people know when I'm not being fake, how outrageous I am. And then I'm in here with like a sponsored partner post, like, well, that was clearly just to get the bag.
Yeah.
That's also what screws it up, though, is that a lot of the vendors want to control the copy or the style.
I know.
Which is hilarious because they come to you in theory because of this brand and reputation that you've built for yourself because of the way you talk and communicate. So they hire you for that, and then they want to change the messaging and style you bring to the table completely. It's like, wait a second, why'd you even knock on my door if you don't like the way I talk?
It's so counterintuitive because then your followers know the way you talk. It's going to resonate with the people following you if you talk the way you talk. So switching gears, you've spent some time in the hospital. I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, but I'd love for you to take us back to those years. Help us understand like the journey you went through that brought you to who you are today.
Oh man. Yeah. I was going to graduate school at Arizona State, and I was doing a 2-year master's program in 1 year for some genius reason that I don't even remember. I just wanted to be done, get it over with. And I was also teaching a full undergraduate course load at Arizona State. So I was teaching like freshman and sophomore computer literacy classes, which was hilarious because I was like the least tech savvy person ever. So I'd literally be up like all night trying to learn the material that I was supposed to go teach at like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning.
Love it.
So it was just like a really stressful year. And I came home to Northern California, where I'm from, after that year, and I just started to get really sick, man, just like out of nowhere. Like somebody flipped a switch, and there was no going back. And I started to have a lot of severe stomach pain. I think I weighed about 195 at the time, and I lost like 50, 60 pounds, within 2 months, and I'm, skeletal basically, and ended up in the hospital very fast. And it took them a while to figure out what was going on. They finally diagnosed me with autoimmune disease, severe ulcerative colitis. And then it just like spiraled from there. I started having chronic kidney stones. I started having organ troubles. I started to get cancerous growths on my large intestine and blockages, strictures, things like this. And they eventually had to, come to me and say, we've got to remove your large intestine, and you're too weak to kind of survive the surgery in one shot. So we've got to do, a couple of them basically. And, I've had 9 surgeries overall. 4 of them were major life-saving, serious abdominal surgeries, 2 of which were emergency surgeries. Like in recovery, one time I sprung a leak, for lack of a better word, and was, kind of going toxic internally. Yeah, just a horrible, horrible period of time in my life. It's 25 years ago or so now. Pre-Netflix, pre-social media. So you're really disconnected. It was just like total isolation in the hospital. And, for 4 years, you're in pain. And so what do they give you when you're in pain, when you're in the hospital? They give you pain meds. So by the time I, was quote unquote healthy and ready to try to leave the hospital, I was 27 years old, and now I had an opioid addiction. They don't really warn you about that part. So got out of the hospital, and luckily for me, for some reason, the psychological part of addiction didn't really take hold too much. It was really more physical. I had been through so much that I sort of was like, oh, I got a cold turkey and kind of, detox for a couple weeks. Got to go through withdrawals. Whatever, dude. A couple weeks is nothing. I was able to look at it like that. So that's what I did. I cold turkeyed, and it was against doctor's orders, and the hospital made me sign all this paperwork, releasing them of liability and all this kind of shit. So I did the whole train spotting thing. It was not fun, man, not at all. And, so there I was, 27 years old. I had a master's degree and undergraduate degree, but I didn't remember anything that I studied at that point in time. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. And a buddy of mine suggested that I try sales and I try a very early stage startups, because at the time, it was kind of a grow at all costs, grow by headcount era of the early 2000s. They would hire anybody off the street, basically, right? So, no business experience, no sales experience, no entrepreneurial kind of role model in my family in that regard. And that was it, and I think some of the things that I have done and been through in my life translated, right? Like I had a psychology degree and a master's degree so I understood people and how to motivate people and how to coach and train people. My master's was in educational technology and instructional design. So I combined that with psychology and just understanding human behavior. And I'm competitive as hell. I played 2 sports in college for 4 years at a pretty high level, and obviously resilient, right? So, I got to a place where I'm like, well, I don't really think I should care about whether I hit my quota or I get fired, because I don't think that's that big of a deal by comparison to what I've already been through. So I had this different perspective and this sense of urgency because I had been deprived of fresh air for like 4 years. So, got on the phone, and the rest of my career is history, so they say. But it's very surreal to look back and think about all this,
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen you post about that a few times, and it's insane to even think about. It's insane to even try to imagine like being in those shoes. Like you can't, right? I can't never imagine that, what that felt like, what that was like. When you cold turkey quit, did you immediately say, I'm going to go out there and make something happen? Or was there kind of like some sort of lull time? I know that you got into sales soon after, but was there any time where you're like, what do I do with my life? Or are you scared to like start over? You just, it's been years since I feel like you had reality face you, and now here you are.
I had a lot of those thoughts while I was in the hospital. What am I going to do? I don't have anything. I've lost everything, So I kind of had already been through the grieving period. So by the time I was out and I was clean and I was on my way to health, I really was kind of fired up to get started and do something,
Yeah.
So there was no kind of period where I got out and it was like, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm just going to walk around and, soak up the sun now. Maybe I should have done that, but I wasn't wired that way. I was sort of wired like, where's the starting line, man? I'm ready, dude. I've been, obsessing over this moment for years, worrying if it was ever going to come. Now I got to go prove I'm here for a reason, and I got to go prove it. Right.
No, not time to make up for lost time.
Yeah.
I had a friend recently, and she had a brain aneurysm, and she was 38 weeks pregnant at the time. She's great now, but one thing now is, she got through it. I wouldn't say great. She's battling through other things right now, but one thing she says is like she now has essentially PTSD. Anytime she gets a headache, she's like, oh crap, is it happening again? You mentioned that it started from stomach pain. Like, do you ever think like, like, is this happening all over again? Or is it like, I'm good, doctors gave me the clear, we're good to go?
No. My version of being healthy and good would put most people back in the hospital. So I live with this every single day. I still have pain every single day. I still have scares all the time. I definitely have PTSD. Part of my sense of urgency, I think, comes from a fear of the rug being pulled out from under me again at any point in time. And I have to have regular checkups and tests. I have to take 3 different medications every day, basically, for the rest of my life. So I understand what your friend is talking about. And, you get a a stomach pain and you think, oh, here we go again. Over time, I've gotten more and more kind of tuned into my body, and I can tell the difference between certain types of pain or certain types of, sicknesses or illnesses that are coming on. And I've started to care more and more about my, longer term health as I get older and things like that. But that fear doesn't really go away. It doesn't really go away. And it extends to, I don't want to be a dad that goes away too early and leaves his kids, fatherless when they're in elementary school or when they're in high school or whatever. I'm 48 years old now, and the life expectancy of somebody with my condition is in the early 60s. So sometimes I think, well, Jesus Christ, I got like 10, 15 years left. That's all I got.
Yeah.
And then, you have to try to push through that and try to recognize that that's trauma and not necessarily reality. And the average doesn't mean that you're going to fall into the average, but it weighs on you, man. It's an ever-present thing.
That's that resonates with me quite a bit. I don't have the same health story as you, but I've had chronic back pain for about 15 years now, and I've had 4 different back surgeries. And so the PTSD approach of like, if I tweak my neck, like, oh, well, there you go. I'm going to, the 2 months out in the hospital, like every time I tweak or wake up I'm just like, oh geez, did I rupture a disc? And I have, undiagnosed degenerative disc disease. So I'm just always dealing with stuff. But what you mentioned around, life expectancy, kids, I had a midlife crisis along some of those lines about 2 years ago now, where my dad had a heart attack, the 3rd heart attack that he's had. He's in his mid 60s. And so, this one was quite a bit more nerve wracking than the other 2, which, heart attacks are heart attacks. But I looked at myself, I looked at my health, I looked at the way I was treating my body. And I had just become a father of my 2nd child at the time. And I got scared. I got scared about what my, not legacy, it's not the right word, but what my future looked like and how my kids either were or were not going to have a dad when they were graduating from college or getting married and that changed everything about my life. I changed the way I ate. I changed the way I felt about work, how I treated work-life balance. I changed the way I exercised. Still have pain right now. Even right now, my neck hurts. And it's like a ruptured disc that an ortho said, yeah, you should probably get surgery, but I'm really trying not to. So it's like every day I'm dealing with it. I wonder, and I don't, I'm spiritual. That's how I deal with some of this stuff. But how do you ground yourself? Like, how do you stay out of your own head? Because I find it's very hard to stay out of my own head, and I can spiral really fast.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think one that anybody who's had serious injury or health issues, can relate to. Sometimes there's destructive ways that you deal with it. Drink too much or get into drugs or something that you shouldn't be, messing around with. Sometimes you can mask it by staying busy. And I've definitely been guilty of that. I've been told before that I have 2 speeds, and one of them is full speed ahead and the other one is dead stop. And sometimes I don't know how to shift between the 2, and life just does it for me. So you got neck pain. I'll use you as an example. You got neck pain. It's like, well, as long as you stay busy, man, as long as you have this call now and this other call coming up, and you got to go to this thing here and you go to that thing next, you're distracting yourself from the pain, really. And
yeah,
I'm not saying that's a healthy strategy, but that is a strategy, and one that I have used consistently for years to stay busy. I'm not good at sitting around and doing nothing. Okay. So that's one strategy. The other things that I've done is I've gone way deep down the rabbit hole of, alternative medicine and non kind of traditional things. I'm a huge proponent of cold plunging. I have osteopenia. My ligaments and joints are all screwed up from all the medications that I've.
Oh, hey, and while we have you hooked, let's go ahead and give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Momentous. They are the most researched and cleanest supplements you can get on the market. Creatine, collagen, protein, etc. The ingredients they use are all natural, and their flavor is absolutely amazing. I have the chocolate fudge one every single day, but go check it out. It's livemomentous.com, livemomentus.com. Two dads at checkout will save you 35%.
Taken over the years. And, it's done wonders for just like everyday pain for me.
Do you cold plunge every day?
I mean, I live in Austin, Texas. It's hot as hell. So during the summer, I go multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I've thought about getting one. I still have never done a cold plunge, but I would like to.
Well,
start
you
trying
should,
it.
given what you've had going on.
That's what people say.
I mean, for anybody who has autoimmune disease or joint pain or injury, it's all about inflammation, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to get inflammation out of your body any way you can. So, freezing cold water, that's one way to give it a boost. Changing your diet.
Yeah.
I went down that rabbit hole, figured out I had 41 different food allergies. So, I had to rip out 41 different things from my diet, normal stuff, gluten, dairy, soy, things like this. No caffeine, no coffee, no beer, all that kind of stuff. I built a sauna in my backyard. So
I love that.
In
I
the
thought
last
about
year,
doing that too.
in the last year or so,
So cool.
so I go in the sauna every single day. I go in the cold plunge multiple times a day. So these things have become almost a ritual for me. So in addition to the actual health benefits of them, it's like a grounding ritual, right? Either you start your day off that way, or maybe I do it in the middle of the day because I'm feeling stressed and I'm just trying to like recenter myself. Sometimes I'm too busy, so I do it at the end of the day to kind of wind down, right? And the last thing I'll say is I try to stay grounded by never kind of getting too excited about how great things are going and trying to never get too down about how things are going. I try to stay as even keel as I can and kind of manage the emotions of it a little bit. So, I'm not somebody that makes $1 million this month and goes and buys a, $500,000 fucking car or something stupid like that. And if I have a down month where I do 70% of my normal, I'm pissed off and upset about it, but I try to remind myself like, whatever, what's the big deal? Like, you're fine. You're still okay. Especially now that I work for myself. It's like, my boss is pretty cool. So, I take it easy on myself a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, as I get older and I've become more and more kind of financially stable, I can back away from some of the go stuff and quote, call in sick and go play golf one day, or, just take the foot off the gas every now and then. So you got to construct your life, I think, Daniel, in such a way that, this grounding, whatever it is that works for you, becomes a part of your everyday, not something that you do once a year or once a quarter or something like that, but part of your everyday.
Might be time for Daniel to hire Scott after this episode. I can't let the conversation stop there, but for the sake of the episode, we can move on. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
I'm
happy to help.
Do you think you found the balance between full speed ahead and dead stop?
I think I'm getting really close. Yeah. I don't think I've got it perfected, but I have landed in the sweet spot at times now. Whereas before, I think I really struggled to ever find the sweet spot.
Okay.
And now I'm able to land there. And now I'm trying to stay there a little bit longer. So do I have it perfected? No, I don't. I definitely don't have it perfected. Yeah. But there's a lot of things that I can point to and say, oh, that's a different type of decision that I made right there. That's a decision that is more, kind of middle ground. That's a decision that is more steeped in compromise than extremism. And, I'm sure for me, I'm thinking it will be something that I probably struggle with, my whole life, trying to land in that sweet spot longer and longer and longer and stay there and be comfortable with it.
Yeah. I think I'm in I don't know. I think I'm also right now full speed ahead or dead stop. And I'd say dead stop is I try to get work done, but I find other things to do to keep me distracted. But it's tough. It's tough to find that sweet spot. 2 kids. Like actually today they're home from daycare. I was like, "Hun, I gotta hit this podcast. You need to take the kids. I know you have a call at 9, but I gotta go."
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like it's go, 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 go right now. And
Yeah. And
it's fun.
when you're wired that way, the tricky part is you've conditioned yourself to believe that is your edge. And that is the way that
Ooh.
you win.
You took
Yeah.
it.
Right.
You took it out of my brain over here,
and
just
so-
massaging my brain. Oh man.
And so there's a part of you that worries like, well, if I take my foot off the gas here a little bit, does this whole thing fall apart? You know, what if
Wow.
I can't actually be successful unless I am going 100% of the time? How can I actually maintain or become more successful, maintain my level of success or become more successful while also somehow slowing down on the gas pedal a little bit? And that's a very real fear and concern, I think, for people who tend to go, go, go all the time and then crash. And they crash by just like vegging out all weekend and not leaving the couch, or they crash by Friday or Saturday night getting absolutely shithoused and then spending Sunday trying to recuperate. Right. And it's a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, I struggle with it even now. I think, well, if I lose my competitive edge a little bit, and that is my competitive edge, like I can outwork everybody, I can be more focused than everybody, give a shit more than everybody. If I lose that edge a little bit, then what do I have left? And you know, there's a lot of reflection required to sit in that moment and try to figure it out.
Yeah,
So-
I never thought of it like that. But now that you're saying it, I'm like, damn, that's me.
I know.
That's me.
So considering that, and I agree, I do think I'm full speed ahead, chaos, or like depressed and not out of bed. It's like my 2 modes of operation.
That's a dead stop.
Which is, I mean,
Yeah.
legit, like burnout, dead stop, sick physically, or just chaos. And that's not healthy. I know it's not healthy, but when you go into considering that as your worldview and your opinion, and I agree with the opinion, when you go into a startup as a fractional VP of sales and you look at their mode of operation, like what's the first thing you're looking for in a team of 20 salespeople with, you know, a typical traditional sales org having been run? I've worked in a lot of sales orgs and seen a lot of sales leaders. Like full speed ahead is like, that's how you build a sales org for a lot of people, right? So what do you look at? How do you approach that?
Well, just to be clear, I'm not there to give these people life advice. That's not why they're hiring me, right?
Yeah.
This type of conversation that we're having, that's not what they want to hear from me.
That's right.
They want me to
was the
look
first thought I
at.
had.
They want me to look at what's going on and figure out how to, you know, dump kerosene on it and light it on fire. So the first thing I look for is, what is the sense of urgency of the founder? Number one. And that reveals itself in a million tiny decisions every single day. Like, how fast does Daniel respond to me? How long did Troy take to review the agreement before we signed it? You know, if I put candidates in front of somebody, how many rounds of interviews are they having with somebody before they're actually saying yes to this person? If Troy and I are working on redoing the objections and rebuttals kind of training and documentation, and it's his turn to get it back to me, does he get it back to me same day, or am I waiting 4 or 5 days? So that sense of urgency, I think, is massive from founders, from founding AEs, from heads of sales. So I'm always kind of evaluating that. I'm evaluating the odds of this company being a home run, let's say. I'm at a point in my advisory work and consulting work where I'm not really interested in just like taking the money from some client that I don't think that they can become a $100 million or $1 billion kind of exit. That doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't amplify my kind of brand or status. I'm not padding my stats with that.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a problem that they're tackling that is massive, that has a huge upside, big TAM, sometimes a boring kind of antiquated industry that is ready to be disrupted and revolutionized. So I'm looking for that. What's its kind of potential? And then the willingness for them to actually take and accept feedback. You might be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be, by how many people will ring you up or pay you for advice. And they tell you, hey, this thing is busted and I don't know why, it's not working. And then you tell them, well, this is why it's not working. This is how it has worked for 200 other companies I've worked with. We should probably do it this way. And they don't listen to your advice, or they disagree with you and don't implement it, or they say, oh, we've already tried that. And it's like, well, if you tried it, you failed, not because that thing is wrong. It's because you sucked at it. You didn't do it long enough, or you didn't do it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to evaluate somebody's willingness and openness to receive and implement feedback. And it is no fun to work with startup founders who don't receive feedback well and have a difficult time implementing the feedback, who don't have a strong sense of urgency, and maybe don't have a big, huge product opportunity. Those are the type of leads that I'm trying to say no to. And I'll, refer them to somebody else who maybe is in a different spot.
Yeah. Was it scary taking the leap to go off into consulting? I'm sure you were making a decent amount of money.
It was very scary. Very scary. I actually waited way longer than people do nowadays. That's for sure. And my friend Richard Harris had gone out on his own maybe 5 or 6 years before I did. And he was doing fine financially. And he kept telling me, you should quit and go work for yourself. I think you could make a good go of this and you might be able to do better than me even, and blah, blah, blah. And I just wasn't ready, man. I had 2 little kids at the time. I had my health issues, to worry about. And I hadn't had like kind of a home run. I hadn't had a unicorn yet that I had grown from scratch. And I hadn't had like a big, massive, multi-7-figure payout. And so I chased that a few kind of extra times. My 4th VP of sales gig, I was chasing that. My 5th VP of sales gig, I was chasing that. My 6th VP of sales gig, I was chasing that. So what I decided, Troy, was to wait until my income from all of my side hustle, extra kind of stuff matched my income from my W-2 job. And I was making, I don't know, $400K plus stock options as a VP of sales, somewhere in that range, 2017, 18, something like that. But slowly, little by little, all this other stuff started to creep up. I wrote a few books. I started surfing sales. I started Thursday night sales. I had some private coaching clients. I had 1 or 2 of consulting clients and whatnot. And all of a sudden, these things just started stacking. And I had been at my last SVP of sales job for a little over 3 years. We suddenly were worth over $1 billion. And I had built this unicorn from literally no paying customers to, $1 billion valuation in a little over 3 years. And I'm like, I think it's time. I'd also built my brand, obviously, over that time. I just wasn't really having that much fun anymore. And you reach a place in your life where you're like, I don't really want this 24-year-old founder to tell me I can't leave 30 minutes early to go to my kid's little league game. That's real life. That's a real story, and you're just like, what the am I doing, dude? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I just made you $1 billion, dude. I can't go to my kid's little league game. What are we talking about here, right?
No, that's when you leave.
Yeah, I pulled the ripcord after a little over 3 years and I went out on my own. But it took me a long time, man. A long time. I also think it has what is responsible for me from year 1 through year 6 that I'm in right now, doing so well and so consistent the whole entire time. because the
Yeah.
body of work that I built and created, and the brand that I created along the way put me in a position where I don't have to outbound. I've never had to outbound in my consulting business. Everything has come to
Amazing.
me inbound, content driven, referrals and whatnot.
That's nice.
And, I could say, well, I did this 6 times, not
Yeah.
once, not twice. I did it 6 times, man. You want proof
Yeah.
that I know what I'm doing? That's my proof. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was scary. And I waited quite a while.
Would you not wait as long if you were to go back and do it all over again?
I would not wait as long to do a few things, actually.
Okay.
I would not have waited as long to give a shit about LinkedIn. I would not have waited so long as to give a shit about Instagram, which I just started.
Nice.
I would not have waited so long to dabble in some secondary side hustle type businesses. I would not have waited so long to try to get a W-2 job that had the capacity to become a unicorn. I had this naive notion in my early days of being a VP of sales that, if we just get to, 20 million in ARR, then we can sell this company for 100 million, and every founder should be stoked to sell a business for 100 million. Well, I didn't understand the venture capital game. I didn't understand the greed that takes over in some founders' mentality and whatnot. So I aim too small, right? And it takes just as much effort, believe me, just as much effort and stress to build a $100 million company as a $1 billion company. I just aim too small initially. So I probably would change that.
Wow.
And I think if I changed all of those things, it probably would have allowed me to leave and go out on my own earlier. But I'm not really upset at all that I waited as long as I did. I think it was the right move for me for the right reasons.
You've clearly had a successful career. Do you feel accomplished, or are you still yearning for that?
Oh, that's a great question, man. I wish I could sit here and lie to you and say, yes, I feel super accomplished, but I can't, I am proud of what I've done. I think I've done a lot. I think I'm close to being accomplished, but not quite there yet. There's a few things that I have going on that when those things kind of explode in a good way, when those things kind of pop, at that point, I think I'll be able to consider myself accomplished, I'm hoping that I can be willingly, on my own choice, retired in the next couple of years if I want to. And I think, anybody who's able to retire in their, what for me would be my early 50s, that feels pretty good as an accomplishment. And I think that I'd be able to say it at that time. But
Yeah.
I'm still pretty hungry. I can't stop the sort of avalanche of ideas that come my way. Right? I mean, I just was looking around my kind of business portfolio for the last year and thinking, I don't have anything in the trades business whatsoever. I don't have anything in the old school services businesses that will not be affected by AI or robotics for a long time. So I launched a landscaping business in South Austin.
Nice.
So
Nice.
it's been going on for about a month and a half now.
Let's
It
go.
took a little while, but we've got it kind of rocking and rolling now.
Yeah.
So I can't stop thinking of new ideas and trying to add to my kind of streams of income and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm a very competitive person, man, and I struggle deeply with the comparison game.
Yeah. Hard not to.
And it's wrong. You shouldn't be doing it. It's all those things. Better, right?
Yeah.
But you can't help sometimes. When you're wired a particular way, to say, "F me, this guy's over here. He's doing that." I think I should be able to do that. I can get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I have a difficult time with that a little bit, and it fuels me and it helps me do well in business. But it's also not great sometimes on your mental health and your confidence and so forth. So I'm trying to find the balance of these things. I feel like I dabble sometimes in stoicism. I hit the bullseye sometimes in terms of not giving a shit. And then sometimes I get sucked in and I care too much. Something affects me, or somebody wins that I don't like and I get jealous.
Yeah.
I'm not above being petty, right? But I'm getting better at it. And I think I'm proud of the fact that I'm actively working on it and can sit here and say, honestly, that I am getting better at it. And that's all I've got, for right now.
Yeah.
That's great. It's a hard mindset I'm nowhere near feeling done. Like, I wouldn't say accomplished, but just like, I'm 32. I feel like I have plenty of time to figure out exactly what finished looks like.
Oh, yeah.
What's one piece of advice you want to leave? Someone's listening to this episode. They're a founder, a seller, a dad, maybe a parent, maybe something adjacent. Like, what's one piece of advice you want to leave the audience?
I think my piece of advice would be to optimize for action over almost all else. So many people, I think, get stuck thinking about things and debating things and analyzing something to death when really they should just get started, whatever that thing is. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And it doesn't have to impress everyone on earth. You could almost be a little bit embarrassed of it in some ways, right? Like I've been running this landscaping business and we've been doing deals and people keep asking me for my Instagram page. And it's like, I just built it. I don't have any posts on there yet. And it's like kind of embarrassing, right? But I did it anyway. And so I've been talking for a number of years now about how people should shrink the delta between idea and action. And I think that's the best piece of advice I could give people out there. So if you're thinking about building a brand, just do it. If you're thinking about writing the post, just put your finger on the button and hit publish. Don't overthink it. If you're thinking about quitting your job, then quit it. Don't be kind of one foot on the dock and one on the boat, because that ends poorly every single time. So that's what I would tell people.
That falls in line with this podcast. I think Daniel and I talk about this a lot. Like you can just go do things today. We're in a world where you can literally just do things. Daniel messaged me on LinkedIn and was like, yo, you want to start a podcast? I had never met this guy. He helped me set up my Beehive account. Like, that's it. And I said, sure. And next thing you know, it's done 70K in 9 months. So it's like,
there you go.
We just did it. And now we're 39 episodes in, having you as a guest.
45 minutes a week. We're committed to this. Well, now 49 minutes and 38 seconds and counting. But we have delegated so much of this. It's so cool. So cool.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
Yeah, you can just do
good for Daniel specifically.
I know. Thanks, Daniel.
I wasn't gonna pat myself on the back, but
all right. Last question. How much would you sell your LinkedIn account today? No taxes. If you had a briefcase full of money in front of you, I know how important it is to your business. If somebody said, here's this amount of money.
How much would I sell it for?
If you had to leave LinkedIn. Yeah, we asked Kevin Dorsey this, so I'm curious what your answer is. Never, you have no connections, nothing like that. You just have, you got to leave.
This is an interesting question because I have said the day that I leave LinkedIn will be the day I've made it.
Yeah,
nice. When I don't have to come back.
So how do you know you made it?
Yeah, I bet Kevin gave a massive number because he always thinks things are worth more than I think they are. So I'm gonna bet that my number is less than his.
Ooh, let's tell you what his is after you tell us what yours is.
Yeah.
And by the way, a briefcase full of money right in front of you changes the dynamic because that's not a hypothetical. Right?
This guy has a psychology degree. You can tell. Yeah. He's had these. He's done these thought experiments before.
You put an actual briefcase on my desk right now with $1 million cash in it. That LinkedIn account is yours. I'll nuke it.
Million.
Nice. That was less by a substantial amount.
Yeah. Kevin said 7 million.
I was gonna say I bet Kevin said 10.
Yeah.
He said 7 million.
He didn't even think. We said how much? He's 7 million. He cut us off. We're like, what? You've thought about this too much.
Kevin's one of my best friends. And he lives around the corner from me. So I know exactly why he gave that number. That's probably his magic number where he's just
That's right. Yeah,
right? I think he's like, if I had that much, I don't have to work ever again. That's probably his thought process and logic behind it.
That's
I
so
do think that
funny.
there's a theory out there where like if you have $7 million, then you can like fund yourself for life off of that without ever having to work again. I think there's something out there, but maybe that's why he said it.
Well,
I'm
it's
sure.
probably
Sam
called
Parr
living
we
off
had,
the interest.
we had on ours, and it, you know,
Yeah.
depending on how much you spend, it's everything comes down to how much you spend. You know,
Yeah,
and
that's
if
true.
you can fund what you want to spend every month, then you don't have to make any more money. So
Yeah.
I think it's a variable. You know,
Listen, if anybody wants my LinkedIn account for $1 million, by the way, I'm completely open to that.
I have
to be clear.
Everyone,
$11
he's got
$29
a lot of
in my account
followers.
right now.
You can build a business
that's
for
right.
bigger than $1 million with that.
we can take it
I
over.
think we're gonna
Go
start.
ahead,
We're
take
gonna
it
start seeing
over.
that happen. I mean, that's already happened with Instagram and
Dude,
Twitter, and you know,
I
every other
sold
social
Twitter.
platform
I
you're
sold
selling.
Twitter accounts in high school, and for like
Mhm.
thousands of dollars each. Just
I know.
People
Did
would
you
get us
really?
like
It's gonna start
5,000
happening.
followers, and yeah.
Jesus.
So I know
Yeah.
a lot of opportunity
Crazy.
out there, but awesome. Hey, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a fun conversation.
You're
Highs,
welcome, guys.
lows.
This has been great.
You learned all that fun stuff. I can say where they can find you, but it's probably better coming from you. Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, of course. That's probably the easiest spot. You can check out my website at scottleaseconsulting.com to see all the different things that I'm up to. And I'm very excited about this. I started this Instagram account called The Scott Leese, only this
Oh,
year in the
right.
last couple of months. And I have like 3 million views in the last 90
Ooh.
days.
Let's
I've
go.
closed $300,000 of consulting business from my Instagram account.
Dude,
It's bringing me real leads and real revenue. And I'm at
we should have started there.
I'm at 13,400 followers on Instagram right now.
Oh my
Out of
goodness.
nowhere. Out of nowhere.
That's amazing.
So I'm having fun with that because I'm like a complete newbie who doesn't know what they're doing and is just starting to see some success over there. So it's
Wow.
been fun.
That is amazing.
We just started focusing on short forms, and I see you on TikTok too. By the way, I'm a TikTok guy, and I see
am
the
on
real
TikTok
Scott
too,
Leese
yeah.
one. Oh yeah, I see you there.
Yeah.
All right,
That
Daniel.
one's been
we
a
need
little
to-
harder to crack for me though. I've got only like
TikTok and
3,000
Instagram
followers
are-
compared to
Yeah.
13,000
Yeah.
on Instagram. So
Something's
Yeah.
gonna pop
Yeah.
off on
I'm
TikTok
trying.
though. That's
I'm
all
trying.
you need. You just need
Yeah.
one or two to pop off, and you're
Yeah.
golden.
Yeah. Dude, people on TikTok are relentless. Anyways, everyone, you found out where you could find Scott Leese. Scott, thank you so much for the fun episode. It was awesome.
Yes.
Daniel, I guess thank you too. Whatever. And then if you want to learn more about Two Dads in Tech, twodadsintech.com, Two Dads in Tech on
Yes.
every single social media platform. Doesn't matter where you're at. Other than that, what else, Daniel? Am I missing anything?
That's it. No, find us at twodadsintech.com. Go check out the Scott Leese
On Instagram.
Instagram, and then of course his LinkedIn is the prominence of his fame, I would say. But no, Instagram, that's incredible. You can watch this episode all over social. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
right on.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
All right, y'all.
Awesome.
Have a good day. We'll
Thank
see you next week.
Take care. See you next time.